The Super Pershing is the latest Tier 8 premium tank to be added with the 7.5 update. The community has been asking a lot of questions on how to optimize credit farming with this interesting tank, so we're here to offer up a review and some advice. As with all premium vehicles, the Super Pershing has awesome credit earning potential, partly due to a low repair and resupply costs, but also because it's just an effective tank. It's well rewarded for all the damage it deals, and has an excellent position in the matchmaker, so will only rarely run into Tier 9 tanks. Just to give you an idea of what to expect, here is a brief shakedown of the Super Pershing's traits. The thing to keep in mind is that it isn't a standard medium tank. It's got more in common with vehicles like the Tiger, relatively slow-moving with a reliable but not spectacular gun. Like we said, it isn't exactly fast-moving. In fact, it's the heaviest medium tank in its tier, but doesn't have a big engine to compensate for that. It's got a decent gun, but it doesn't have exceptionally high damage or penetration. However, this is offset by the fact that very few of the tanks it faces have tough armor, so it performs above average. It dishes out a hefty 220 damage at a penetration of 170mm on an average shot. Certainly nothing to be ashamed of. The biggest advantage that the Super Pershing has is in the frontal armor department. Rocking 170mm in the lower glasses and 220mm in the upper glasses make it a difficult target even for tanks like the ISU 152. The angling of the armor makes it even more of a challenging target to dispatch. With the right crew skills and equipment, this tank is an excellent vehicle for shooting while on the move and then closing with the enemy. The unique combination of high armor and a decent gun on a medium tank allows for flexibility in the style of play. Since they're a little slow, they often bring up the second wave of offense or defense. Don't feel compelled to rush. The Super Pershing excels at dealing with enemies who have already been softened up. Don't be afraid to spend your shots hampering the enemy by blasting their tracks or swapping to HE in order to damage modules and crew. You've got the armor to sustain a protracted battle and draw the enemy into bad positioning. When the time comes, you've also got the equipment to do some face-hugging to keep enemies from targeting your allies. A shell rammer and enhanced gun lane drive are pretty much essential, and coated optics are rarely a bad idea, but you might tailor the third equipment slot to suit your tastes. The recommended consumables are a repair kit, first aid kit, and fire extinguishers. If you don't think engine fires pose a serious risk, then opt for the 100-octane gasoline, but it's always a risk to enter the battle without firefighting equipment. In many ways, you can think of the Super Pershing as a small heavy tank. It can definitely lead the push in certain situations, and its gun makes it dangerous, especially at close range. Its armor makes it a great bullet sponge, but you have to watch out for getting out of position. You don't want to take shots in the side or rear. Your slow speed will prohibit you from extracting from a bad situation. While your armor is strong, it does have weak spots. Here's some advice for staying in action as long as possible. The first bit of advice is to hide your machine gun. Ideally, you should do it this way, or this way. Next, in situations like this, keep your turret facing this direction to keep the enemy from taking an easy shot into the two tubes. As always, be careful turning the side of your turret toward the enemy. Keep the gun facing them as often as possible. They will take any opportunity to bypass the heavy armor you have up front. It takes a good deal of experience to be able to use the Super Pershing like a heavy tank, but it can do the job in a pinch. If you're planning on playing this medium as a heavy on the front lines, then we suggest you take the gun rammer, coated optics, and vents. If you aren't a fan of one of these, then swap it out for an enhanced gun lane drive or the vertical stabilizers. Crew skills for this tank are important, especially the repair skill. Have your crew train that first, but consider swapping it to Sixth Sense for the commander. Brothers in Arms is a fantastic skill to use in conjunction with vents. Your crew is just so powerful at that point. Clutch braking is another skill that will assist you in those close combat battles. The Super Pershing just doesn't have the speed to go from flank to flank, so once you're pushing up one side, you're more or less committed. With that in mind, try to wait until you know where the bulk of the enemy forces are headed before you pick a side. It's better not to trust in getting lucky. In higher tier games, your role should be much more focused on support. Disable enemy tanks, soak shots for wounded tanks. You don't have the speed to go seek out and destroy enemy artillery, so make yourself useful in other ways. The Super Pershing is an excellent farming tank, and it's actually comparatively cheap, at only 7,200 gold coins. Consider making an investment that will easily pay for itself in time. We hope this video has provided some useful information about the latest medium premium tank to come off the assembly line. Good luck on the battlefield. Roll out.